One.
Welcome, my friends, to paradise. I'm joined today by my favorite players because they're here. We got Chris, we got Nate, we got Liam, myself, Dungeon Master Wes, not Dungeon Mastering. We're here. You clicked on the episode. It's a paradise episode. Welcome. We're gonna get right into the action. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I have a couple of questions that I want to ask you guys. We're just gonna keep the conversation all light and fluffy, and we'll just see where the episode goes. I got a few questiones written down. We're gonna go uh clockwise answering because it's easier, and then that way, I can ask a question and I can answer it last if I have an answer for myself. So sorry, Chris, you're on
Hot seat all night.
hot seat all night. Sorry, buddy. Question number one. I'm not gonna do that voice every time. Don't worry. What's it like stepping into a modern setting? For you, Chris, we've only had the pleasure of having you for the latter half of the Boundless Shores as well as Daldalia. Have you stepped into a modern setting previously in your role playing adventures? What was it like stepping into a modern setting with D20 Modern? I do believe it is your first time playing D20 Modern, if I'm remembering that correctly. But what's it like stepping into a modern setting and maybe mainly more a militarized modern setting? Let's go for the whole alliteration nonsense, whatever the fuck I said.
Well, I have a bit of familiarity with contemporary settings inside of the forum of a couple of other system games. Nightbane being one that was set around the year 2000, and Beyond the Supernatural, which was a horror campaign. Uh, both of them I have very little overall experience with because most of those games didn't last more than a handful of sessions. But like I've said inside the past, my home system that I initially started up with was the Palladium system. So that was a post-apocalyptic setting. So this is still a bit of a shift away from the typical 3.5 fare that I'm more familiar with, and I can't say that I've been inside of nearly as structured of a military format as what we have going on here. So it's been a bit of a fun little experiment and experience overall. I think that right now I'm just hoping and praying that I haven't driven everyone insane with Corey's voice, because I initially wanted him to be something of an unlikable character due to the fact that I rolled a miserable stat for when I was doing character generation, and I thought to myself, I have a prime opportunity to turn this character into the most miserably flat, monotone character since Ben Stein met Eeyore. And
I Oh, sorry, go
that,
on, buddy.
and that's what I've kind of wanted to run with. So as long as people are willing to put up with my shenanigans, I am all on board for it.
I will say that I've heard from one person in the group in particular um, that he's kind of irritated by Corey's voice.
Oh dear.
Not in a bad way, in more of a funny way of like he's like, oh bro, I can't fucking stand this. In just a funny way.
Charisma 6, you're kind of expected to be an unwelcome addition to any party.
Hell yeah, buddies. Moving on, I guess, Nate, we'll go to you.
Um,
What's it like for you to step into a modern setting?
yeah. Coming from someone who has only played D&D before, it's a nice breath of fresh air for me to be able to step into a new system, get that feeling of unfamiliarity while also having it be somewhat familiar to what I know. I'm still a relatively inexperienced Dungeons and Dragons player, just from the fact that my campaigns and adventures that I've been a part of, aside from Boundless Shores, haven't gone on very long. Um, so yeah, it's a nice, fresh experience that still feels somewhat familiar, and I really appreciate it a lot.
Here's a fun question for you, just as a sidebar. Just because you said your only really long-term experience when it comes to D&D has been TBS, what's a lesson you've learned from TBS that you're going to take into your future games?
Just just have fun, cooperate with the other players and the DM to tell a story. Finish the story.
Shut up, Michael Cole. WrestleMania 40 will never be topped by WrestleMania 41. It's your ass.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, just cooperate with the DM and the other players to tell a story. You don't have to be the main character all the time. You just have to make a story. Collaborate with others to tell a story. That is the lesson that I am going to take in future D&D games.
Lovely. Same question to you, Liam. What's it like for you stepping into a modern setting?
Honestly, right now it feels there's not that much difference between what we've been doing in the Boundless Shores and now. My biggest thing is just writing a character's backstory. There really isn't, especially when in a more modern setting. It's just, yeah, I lived here, I go here, I'm here now. Whereas in a fantasy setting, it's like, yeah, this happened to my family and everything else.
Yeah, there's not as much creative expanse you can do, but you also have to remember that real life is crazy, and anything could happen to anyone. And so the crazy things that happens to our fantasy characters, they do happen to our everyday life. People die, people pass on, there are murders, there are crimes that happen. There are experiences, traumas that we feel throughout our lives that can still direct and guide us, even through in our modern world, and for example, here in our modern game, is there's experiences that define all of us as human beings.
No wilder
But I can
fiction than
understand
truth.
how much more boring it must be to create a real life human who has real life problems rather than a fantasy elf who the only thing he has to worry about is his fucking blonde hair, you know? Or that demon over there. But whatever. Y'all are gonna gank the demon anyways. I agree with you there though, Liam. It was really interesting to me to kind of attempt a more modern take on role playing. Um, Which is honestly why I put that disclaimer at the beginning of episode 1. Is that I want to create a good story, but creating a good story requires a good villain, and a good villain in real life, as they're all around us. They're in our everyday in our everyday life. They're in office. They are in our workplace. They might be in our homes, and so. And especially when it comes to the different factions that I wanted to use for this adventure, I definitely didn't want to use anyone maliciously and, take advantage of a stereotype and riff on that to create a villain for you guys, but in a way villainizing a certain denomination or organization or religion of people.
So far, I'm thinking that our group is probably the greatest villain so far because we haven't really asked a single question. We've just kind of gone through and laid waste to everything we've encountered.
Yeah, white people.
Colonialism.
It's
Technically,
why people talk all night.
in all
Taco
fairness,
you.
in all fairness, in the first episode, we did try to go a more stealth approach when it came to the pirates, but the second they saw us, they kind of turned on us. So,
Yeah, true. And as much as I don't like representing a group of people in a stereotypical way or riffing on certain beliefs or, obvious stereotypes. I still do enjoy role playing to invoke questions, to challenge beliefs, and to really question not only your characters but you as people. I want to push that on you guys. I want to see how you guys react to these scenarios that I put in you. Look at the Boundless Shores in basically industrial fascism as at this point. I like I and this is a thing that I do have a strong beef with, and a lot of people's strong belief that Dungeons and Dragons or TTRPGs in general have a escapism bias to them. As I do believe that we can ask ourselves truly deep questions while still enjoying this fun role playing game that I have. And I'm looking down at the time right now, and I realize I never set my timer. So Liam, how long are we into this so far?
13 minutes. We start at 7:13.
13 minutes. Someone quick maths me. 60 minus 13.
47.
Boom. There we go. Thank you. So I can keep track of myself so I don't keep yapping. To answer my own question in a full rounded moment here, I actually did not find it difficult at all to step into a modern setting. But I think I would pin that down due in part to the fact that my world, the world that I've built, actually is in a pre-industrial revolutionary stage. We have guns, we have machines, we have not only the prospect of magic, but we have technology to balance that for the people who are non-magical. So I always, because rustic fantasy is fun, but industrial fantasy I think is a lot more fun to play with. I draw inspiration from steampunk, but I will still like, I like the groundedness, and I also really love that time period of like 1840 beyond to 1930. I think those years are really fascinating when it comes to human history. And I think it's something that is really fun to explore in a fantasy setting. Yeah. And then so moving into a modern mystic setting, I've already run militaristic settings. Daria is very militarized. That is not unfamiliar to me. You guys just haven't really explored much of their arsenal because war hasn't taken place since campaign 1, full out all skill war, I guess would say in that way. Um that's something that I just always really enjoy, is just that pre-industrial revolutionary era of where metal is starting to be warped a lot like magic is. And so that's super fun, and so I don't think modern has been super jarring for me to wrap my head around. Man, I yap too much. Sorry, guys. Let's go into a quick fire question here. What's your dream campaign setting?
Ooh, I don't know whether or not it's something that I'd want more to play in or to lead in as a DM, but a reverse dungeon where we would have to operate as the creatures within a dungeon and defend against the assorted trespassing intruders and so-called adventurers as they try to break into our domicile.
Um, that's also a personal dream of mine when it comes to role playing. I remember playing this game, and I don't remember what system it was on. I don't remember what the game was called, but it was a game where you had to set up a dungeon, and that was kind of all I remember. And then obviously I have Boss Monster, brilliant game. That's a personal dream of mine. That's fantastic that you say that, because I would love to either run or play in a game of that quantity of a reverse dungeon. Excuse me. Nate, we'll go to you. Same question.
Was it Dungeon Keeper?
Dungeon Keeper. What system was that on?
Computer.
No,
Mm.
definitely not on computer. It was on like it was either. My guess in my brain, it was either on PSP, Wii, or DS. Because I remember owning this game, but I never had like an Xbox or a PC or anything. So it was only on a PSP, a Wii, or on a GameCube that I would have been able to play it on.
Other ones that come up is War for the Overworld and Overlord.
I don't know. Maybe I made it up. Who knows?
I really want to play in. I really want to play like a Cthulhian horror genre of TTRPG. I feel like I could appreciate the hell out of that because it was always like something I was intrinsically attracted to as when I was younger. So,
I agree with you, and that's why I find Candelabra Obscura so interesting to me. It is because it combines that industrial, like pre-industrial fantasy, Cthulian, let's use
Lovecraftian.
Lovecraftian. That's the term. Thank you. Um, uh, Pre-industrial fantasy, Lovecraftian mystery.
Mhm.
I really recommend if you guys haven't checked out Critical Role's work on Candelabra Obscura, their episodes, I recommend the Circle of the Crimson Mirror, led by Liam O'Brien. That's my personal favorite of the Candelabra Obscura games that they've done.
Right.
Bria Iyengar's, I can't remember her adventure, but hers was also excellent. But Crimson Mirror is definitely my favorite. Anyways, but I agree with you in that way. I think Eldritch Horror is something I really want to pursue in my repertoire as a DM. So I agree with you there. Liam, what about you, buddy? What's your dream campaign setting?
First I gotta say this, Nate, if you're interested in it, there is a video game. I think that's loosely based off the TTRPG. It's by the same name, Call of Cthulhu. If you're, if you ever heard of it.
Yeah.
But
Herb?
I think my dream one, would be. I'm a big mystery kind of guy. I love my, Phoenix Wright, Somnium Files, Danganronpa, stuff like that. Love all those. I would love a murder mystery campaign.
Yes, give me Clue.
The problem
I
is
think it
Speak
would
with
be
Dead
so much.
exists.
I would, yeah, I think, thinking it's a dungeon master, I would definitely create limitations on what can and cannot happen within interactions that I don't think Speak with Dead. I think if you cast Speak with Dead, I would give you something, but not everything. You know, I'd give you a lead, but I wouldn't be able to like the murderer is eight. No.
You could also do it with
Um.
the Speak with Dead where they were unaware of their murder. So it's just like they were killed, but they didn't see
Oh
their
yeah,
assailant.
true. Like Moaning Myrtle. She never saw Tom Riddle kill her. Um, but yeah, I think it'd be really fun to run in like a honestly in like a larger like 8 or 9 person party and only have a limited amount of NPCs, like 3 to 4 NPCs, and then have it as a very closed circle murder mystery where I let someone know session 1 you are the murderer.
But I'll be
That would
honest,
be really fun.
I've had something like that in my mind a little bit. It was one of those. It was one of those things where I was debating whether or not I wanted to put it into my, like more modern setting in like the whole, dimensional campaign that I wanted to write, where it was like you
Yeah.
were helping solve this case, but and this is where it kind of gets stupid. But it was um, the murder victim is actually the detective's pet because they're a sentient creature with psionic abilities. And there'd be like small clues that would lead you to it if you could find them.
That's a really fun concept, dude. I think that would be fun. Like if not tied into your campaign that you plan, or like just make it into a small, 4-episode mystery. That could be fun.
I've heard of players as mind switched awakened sandwiches. So I mean, we can, I'm sure, run a gamut of all sorts of different outcomes.
Yo, what's up?
Hello.
What's going on, buddy? Are you working right now?
Nope. I had to go do something quickly.
Well, now the whole theme is shifted because if we're going to keep going clockwise, now the screen's altered.
Fuck you. We're gonna start. We're gonna go top row, bottom row, and then I'll finish last anyway.
Shouldn't have said
No
anything.
winning.
Um. Yeah. Owen, what's your dream campaign setting?
Exandria.
Fair enough. That's a good answer. And I guess we'll speed run you through the last two questions that I asked you. How is it like stepping into a modern setting? Player.
It feels different, but it also feels like a fresh start. Like, so it feels good.
And oh, I haven't asked this question yet. Never mind. Has everyone answered the question so far? Dream campaign and yeah, modern setting we already covered.
Yes, I think that's everything that we've covered so far.
I am here.
Welcome back.
Um. Let's go for a more open-ended one. That's just, I don't know, a little bit more fun. It's a little bit more philosophical. What do TTRPGs mean to you?
Uh, it's a fun way to crib on your mentions earlier, to have a little bit of escapism, to take on the role of something outside of the norm and to experience yet another world. It's kind of like the same way that I might delve into a series of novels. Why settle for just living in my own life when I can live across a plethora of different worlds and different lives? Vicariously as a character or by experiencing it as the reader inside of a novel. At the same time, there's something to really enjoy the fact that it is an interactive form of fiction that has a lot more open ended elements than, say, necessarily a game that could have been produced on a console or a computer. And there's also the whole community element of it, in that I get to interact with a crazy bunch of nut jobs that are as equally deranged as myself.
I love that answer. Same question to you, Nate. What do TTRPGs mean to you?
TTRPGs mean a lot to me because they just give me something else to focus my mind on. Again, it's like a little bit of that escapist mindset where I can just get away from the stresses of everyday life and just be able to sit down, relax with a couple of buddies, and just have some fun. Um, I've been through a lot in my life, and just be able to be in someone else's mind in another world, even if it's for a few hours, really helps me process everything.
Beautiful. That's awesome. What about you, Owen?
Um,
RPGs mean to you?
I feel similar to Nate. I feel it's a good escape from what has tormented me, but and it's also a good way to get some other sides out that like other sides of me that I don't really bring out much.
Beautiful. Yeah. What about you, Liam? Same question.
Yeah, practically same answer as the last three. It 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 gets that thing of escapism, just being somebody you're not, being able to do all these crazy chaotic things. But at the same time, it's a reminder to me that everything's going to be okay, and I still have people there for me that that I know I can lean on.
Beautiful. Yeah. I love this D&D community, and I love the family that we have forged through this together, and the experiences we have together. And I truly love all your answers, and nothing I could say could top that. So let's move to a fun question. This is for all you Pokemon nerds out there. Name the Boundless Shores NPC and assign their Pokemon partner.
Oh God.
I want you guys to not typecast, especially with the furrier NPCs. You know, obviously because Saphiri's a dog folk, don't give him Growlithe because he's a dog. You know, just think about your answer a little bit. And I instead of going in an order, we can just go with like an answer of if you have an idea of an NPC, name their companion.
Milo,
So it's
Marshadow.
first come first serve. Milo and who?
Marshadow.
Oh, I like that.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so cute.
They like to hide in people's shadows and mimic their abilities, which I feel is fitting for our arcane trickster.
What the hell's a Milo?
Shout outs. Well, you guys are giving your the question an answer. I'm gonna go grab a beer. Give me a sec while you guys are thinking. And I've returned.
I have an idea.
All right, spit it.
I feel like Vidale's Pokemon would be Celebi.
I was thinking more Noctowl.
I feel like I feel like she is just like that positive healing force in the world, but also isn't afraid to stand up for what she believes in. And I can respect the hell out of that.
I got one.
You spit it.
K as Inteleon.
Yep, I see it. It's a James
Honestly,
Bond.
if you look Inteleon up, the pose that's in the picture, it's K to a fucking T.
It's
Oh, that's gas.
search up Gigantamax Inteleon.
Oh, Jai and Max Intelligent. They shout outs to Google. What the fuck is that?
I was thinking Greninja maybe for K.
By the way, its signature move is Snipe Shot.
Hmm.
Also,
That's
Snipe
definitely why that makes sense.
Yeah. Because half the party knows exactly why.
What about you, Chris? What do you think? NPC and their Pokemon companion.
Well, sorry that I'm going to go back to Safiri, but I could definitely picture him just having a magnificent time alongside a primate. Just because of the fury that both of them fight with, I could imagine just the devastation of whatever happens to enter their path in the middle of training.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely perfect. Fucking, that's a perfect typecast. That's awesome. And
Now,
just as a speed round, your character's starting Pokemon, regardless of their region.
Our characters
Ideal.
or ours?
Yeah, your characters.
I
In the
started at Gen
Boundless
1.
Shores.
Oh,
Calduin, Sandile, Knees, Zora.
They start.
They're not starters, but I would take them as starters. But they're
I was
first
thinking
level
like
stage
starting
of
3 Pokemon, regardless
boo.
of like region.
You suck.
I'd say
Sorry.
Orgulin is Rapid Strike Urshifu.
Nah, he means like actual starters. He's being lame.
Oh. Then I'd go
Sorry.
Infernape.
I feel like Yonatan would definitely pick Rowlet as his starting Pokemon.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Is that a starting Pokemon?
Yep.
Decidueye.
Dope. In my mind, I always saw him with Snivy for some reason.
Tobin is
Because I mean,
Surfetch.
you both are you guys both use leaves and are sassy.
Rowlet can be sassy when he wants to.
Mm.
And also, it's like the
So what do you
closest
think?
thing to Peter, so I think that fits.
Yeah. Liam and Chris, what are your characters' starter Pokemons?
Question: Are we classing Eevee as a starter because of the Let's Go Eevee games, or no?
No, I'm thinking like the classic like water, fire, or grass starters, but I don't care what region.
That's really a difficult question. I couldn't actually picture Alistair as a trainer himself. I could certainly see him perhaps as a researcher, but no, I don't really picture him enjoying battle for the sake of battle. He's not that kind of person. He he goes into battle to end it as quickly and efficiently as possible.
So Alistair's a Pokemon Ranger. Got it. Liam, did you have something to say?
Nope.
No? I don't remember. Let's move on. It's a fun question here.
When are we getting Vidal back in TBS?
Never. She's dead. What city, country, or organization would you, as a person, like to be a part of if you lived within the Boundless Shores? Mainly thinking like what city and country you would like to live in the most.
I mean, there really isn't that much of a question as far as I'm concerned. Uh, Blackwater, Blackwater all the way. Just 100% throw myself into the magic culture. Just go ahead, do
That's
it,
Black Mirror.
do it, do it, do it, do it, do it.
Oh, Black Mirror.
Oh, Black Mirror. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. I should have chosen better names. What about you, Nate? Country or city you would like to live in the Boundless Shores?
I feel like New Daria might be a fun place to live in.
Where in New Daria would you move?
Sorry, could you just remind me what cities are in what places are in New Daria?
Uh, East and West. There's New Orleans City. There was Palos. There's Lulara. There's Black Mirror, and there's Aria. And I think that's it.
I feel like the upper district of New Orleans City would be fun to live in.
More claustrophobic New York City. Love it. What
Yeah.
about you, Owen?
Um, I might I might say the Farhaven Isles.
Oh, where do you think of the Farhaven Isles?
I don't know. I I just think somewhere on one of the islands would be fun.
Um, so Blackwater is like swampy, mostly like on wooden stilts, kind of like Venice, but wood instead of concrete. And then there's New Angkor, which is a much more like moderate jungle climate. There's Farhaven Isles, which is like a paradise island, like think Hawaii. And then
I was more thinking the that one.
Farhaven Island.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Um, what about you?
Remind me where the basically wizarding school is or the magic school is.
Elra, that's in Marswell.
Yeah, I thought it was Elra. So yeah, Elra.
Hell yeah, I agree with Liam, but I would live personally in Port Jira, a lovely little tropical coastal town. Seems like the exact place I'd have to settle in.
Also, I finally got an answer for the
Let's.
starter one.
Oh yeah, give me it.
Turtwig for Calduin, Froki for knees.
Both of those make sense. That's got. Um, give me a Pazzarino in this.
Of course, to peel the curtain away from a earlier conversation about starting off somewhere or being affiliated with some place inside of the Boundless Shores, I'm going to peel away a little bit of the curtain for a moment. There is a unofficial rule inside of our private chat that states that I am not allowed to terraform all of Veilbridge via the methods of using transmute sand to glass, transmute sand to stone, stone metamorphosis, stone to flesh, transmute rock to lava, transmute rock to mud, transmute rock to steel, transmute rock to sand, and scalding mud to create soil.
Nope, not allowed. Can't terraform Veilbridge. Unless the Veilbridge residents are like, alright, whatever. But I don't think they will.
Calduin would definitely put a stop to it.
I guess that's how they made Rome in a day.
Um, what's a good question for next? Oh, all right. What was it like getting into D20 Modern? Was it like how was the differences between D20M and 3.5 and any other role playing games that you may have played in the past? Joined by a
It
little
was
kitty cat.
a bit of a challenge to locate all of the resources that I wanted to find for my character. I know. Actually, as a bit of side commentary, one of the feats that I chose was intended as a bit of a joke April Fool's article. It was the SCA participant feat, wherein I got a +2 on all crafts and a +2 on history checks. Uh, but I mean, I had a lot of fun just kind of deep diving through an assortment of different material that I typically don't get to touch. Uh, there's not a whole lot as far as a series of books that you can really draw from for the D20s modern series, and a good number of them are posted up for futuristic societies. So that narrows down your options even more as far as the selections that you can draw from. But nevertheless, it was interesting just being able to kind of go through these and discover things all brand new. Like, for example, flipping through the critical locations book, I remember stumbling across the fireman's jacket as a mode of viable armor, and I just thought that was nifty as all heck. But I'd say that just the the narrow scope of it, and not just going ahead and diving through a bunch of the D&D books to make selections for my character, was a rather directed choice, especially as well discovering uh, that skill synergies didn't work the same way as 3.5 or 3.0 for that matter. It's a lot more ad hoc and on the fly.
Hmm. What do you think, Mr. Knight?
Um, it took me a while to get used to like just finding everything in the D20 modern books. But once I familiarized myself with how things work and what build I wanted to do, I found that it was pretty simple to build my character. Chris helped me out a little bit with the specifics of how to get to where I wanted to go. But I feel like after that, it was pretty easy and simple to make my character how I wanted to and how to navigate the different pages and stuff.
Yeah. What do you think, Mr. Aaron?
I think it was pretty similar. There's a couple things that kind of took getting used to, like the wealth system kind of threw me for a loop, but other than that,
Oh, me too.
it was similar and kind of not too bad. So yeah, I didn't mind it once I actually sat down and did it.
Liam, what are your thoughts?
I'm been really enjoying it. Like I like the how there's so many skills that you could go into that it's basically kind of like honestly it's kind of like cyberpunk in a way um that where you could build your character in multiple ways and it gives more options of how to proceed with a scenario. Like I know in 3.5 you can still technically do that, but most of the time it's, hey, you come to this room, here's this puzzle, there you go, because fantasy loves their puzzles. But this one it's like with us, you come across a door, you can either brute strength it, find a way to actually open it, or blow it up, kind of deal. So there's, depending on how you build a character, there's different ways to uh, go into a scenario. As for other things, I'm not sure how I feel about the uh, massive damage rule. Well, like I understand it. It's more modern. There's got to be a lot of stuff that'll do damage to you and everything. And in real life scenarios, if you take a big hit, it can most likely kill you. But it still makes it where if you want to prioritize one thing, you have to prioritize your health, which you should be prioritizing your health, but it seems like health is a extreme must in this one.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and that's why I want to develop some sort of like critical wound system for when your massive damage threshold is hit. Instead of going down a -1, you will take a penalty until you can get it healed.
Following up on Liam's statements about a criticism for the D20 modern system, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the initial levels of the attribute hero system. I understand that it's supposed to be rather open ended, so that way you can kind of develop your character into whatever advanced profession that you want to, but it just seems as though those first few levels are just so flavorless.
They and what flavor they do have, most of them seem very underwhelming. Like I really do find the tough hero class to be very underwhelming.
Uh, the other problems I have to say, especially when it came to character creation, is how like I get it. This one seems it's still combat, but it seems more oriented towards role play more than actual combat, and anything you want to do combat wise, you're forced to waste feats to get the weapons you want, instead of having a class that can give you those feats.
I agree and I disagree a little bit. I do find like the frustration of some weapons being locked behind a feat wall is frustrating, but you also just have a lot of feats. Everybody gets a fuck ton of feats. By the time you're level 3, you have at least 4 feats if you're human. You get one from your profession, you get one from your level, you get one from being human, and you get one at level 3. These are the feats. And in certain classes, you're going to 5th feat. So I can agree with you there. But especially when I was developing Owen's character with him, I found because he wanted to use a heavy weapon, looking into the feats, it really wasn't that complicated to go into if you wanted a more fancy automatic weapon than a pistol. Because most weapons you gain access with is you gain access with um,
Personal firearms proficiency.
personal firearms proficiency. Thank you. Which is very easy to get. Whether it be through one of the 4 routes you can get it at level 2. The only thing it gets more complicated is if you want advanced firearm proficiency to gain access to auto fire, you want to get burst fire, you want to get exotic weapon proficiency. If you want to use a fucking sword, you have to go into archaic weapon proficiency. I get it, it's a little frustrating, but I think especially with the how they set up the core classes, it's not that hard feats, and so it's not that bad to throw away certain feats to get certain weapons that you want.
I have to say one of the other things that I did enjoy about like character creation in D20 Modern compared to 3.5 is that profession is actually a more useful thing to go into in Modern than it is 3.5.
Oh my god, yes. Yes, that is one of the big praises that I have for D20 Modern is that profession and occupation means a lot more.
Sorry to dive back into it, but maybe if a person is finding difficulty with the specific feats that they want to have, then they should consider asking their DMs about the usability of Unearthed Arcana's flaw system. Take a couple of areas that your character isn't strong at in order to gain an additional feat.
Hmm, very true. I have no experience in that, so I couldn't make a comment on that, to be honest, because I don't often read the rules very deeply. The
Well,
flaw I have.
That's what I had to do to make my character. I had to take one flaw to get all the feats that I needed.
What's your flaw, if I may ask?
Uno momento, por favor.
while that's going on, I can say that while Corey does not have any flaws, Alistair, he actually does have a flaw. Uh, I've
Hmm.
brought it up a couple of times in character as just a fascinating little fun side note, but he's a finicky eater. And if he actually imbibes potions, he's sick for for a terrible length of time, suffering all sorts of penalties, and he also suffers from additional penalties from ingested poisons. Thus, when there was the whole meetup over at the was it the Blood Moon Inn, he got one good shot of alcohol in him, and he dropped.
Yeah, that has been a common occurrence with your character. That I didn't know that. I thought that was more of a character choice more than a flaw that you chose. But that's really cool.
Well, I mean, I wanted to kind of put them together inside of an organic way, so I've tried to make it seem appropriate enough.
Yeah. I think obviously my timer's gone off. We're gonna leave this episode off open-ended real quick. If anyone has a one last question for myself as a DM before we close this episode out. Anyone have a question for moi?
How does it feel knowing that you can abuse silvery barbs when I'm the DM?
Um, it feels very good. And with that, my silvery barbs. That's where we're gonna cancel this spell. Because I can. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. We'll see you in the next episode. Ra-ta-ta-ta-ta. Goodbye.
Bye, have a great
Goodbye.
time.
Peace.